What's up, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Franchise Play, coming to you with the recap for Saturday, May 9th, the Premier Boxing Champions card. It's headlined by Omar Figueroa Jr. taking on Ricky Burns in a lightweight clash. But before that, we saw Tomoki Kameda taking on Jamie McDonnell for McDonnell's 118-pound championship. It was a very good fight. Obviously, a lot of boxing fans are biased against the lighter weight classes, but if you are that way, you probably missed a good fight. McDonnell went down for the first time in his career in the third round. A hard right hand from Kameda put him down. El Mexicanito, which is what Kameda's nickname is, even though he's from Japan. He's a very interesting character, speaks Spanish. So that, the fight took place in Hidalgo, Texas. So there was a huge Mexican contingent there, basically to see Figueroa Jr., and they were very much behind Kameda. And the fight was very close. Obviously, he did a very good job dropping McDonnell for the first time in his career. But I thought what really happened to him, he obviously lost the fight by 1 point on all three judges' scorecards. But what happened to him was basically the final round. The final round of this fight was extremely close. He had an opportunity to really take a hold of the fight in the final round, but instead he allowed McDonnell to take it to him in the early portion of the round. He really couldn't get the momentum back up to take back control of the round. And when you lose 114 to 113 on all three scorecards, which is very rare, rarely will you ever see all three judges agree, like with an identical scorecard, but that's what we had. It's actually kind of refreshing because it kind of lets you know everybody's kind of on the same page. But that pretty much speaks to what happened. Without the knockdown, obviously McDonnell would have had an opportunity to win by a larger margin. But as it was, I think he won the fight by winning the final round. So it was a very good fight, though. It's a fight that I think actually should probably have a rematch. I think there's definitely would be a market for that based off of this, what we saw. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, or if McDonnell tries to move on to something bigger and better. Both fighters, I think, are going to love fighting in the United States, and so we'll see what's next for both of them. But that was a good fight. In the actual main event, Omar Figueroa Jr. versus Ricky Burns. Let me start off by saying the fight itself was good. Omar Figueroa Jr. ended up winning a unanimous decision. I don't even know where to exactly start with this fight, but let's start with the scorecards. Scorecards were ridiculous. I mean, 118 to 110 on one card. I think it was like 117 to 112, something ridiculous on the other card. Other two cards, I should say. Now, granted, Ricky Burns did have 2 points deducted in the fight for holding. Now, getting into that, oh my God, referee Lawrence Cole had to do one of the worst jobs of refereeing that I have ever seen. And I'm talking about, man, I've been watching and or covering boxing for over 30 years, okay? And I'm gonna tell you, look, Lawrence Cole was horrible, okay? Horrible. It was every time they got in the clinch, he would grab Ricky Burns' arm and move it from an advantageous position. And he was only doing it to Ricky Burns. So now, granted, Ricky Burns was holding more than Figueroa, but I had never seen a referee jump in that way and literally physically move a guy's hand as often as he did it to Ricky Burns. He didn't actually get caught with a shot during him, because he was doing that. But I do think it disturbed the rhythm and disturbed the confidence that the guy may have had in the fight. Early on, he was really controlling the fight with his jab, and he was following that up with a nice straight right hand afterwards. But he really couldn't, to Figueroa's credit, he couldn't keep Figueroa off of him. So he couldn't keep the distance. Burns doesn't have the ability to fight moving backwards, which is what some of the best boxers are able to do. So Figueroa was just basically closing the distance, plowing in on the inside, landing body shots, and doing some good work with the uppercut. That said, even with the 2 point deductions, I thought that Burns won the fight. I don't have a problem with Figueroa winning it because there were some very, very close rounds. But the deficit in which the judges gave Figueroa that fight was bananas. Was not good. Not accurate at all. Burns' biggest issue is his lack of punching power. He only had 11 knockouts coming in, and most of those were, he got those in fighting at 130 and 135. Despite the fact that he's 5'10", he just does not have the punching power to hurt guys at 140, let alone anything higher than that. So that's his issue. So he landed some good shots with Figueroa. Figueroa has a great chin. He walked right through those. So that's the problem to begin with, because if you want to keep distance, when you land that jab in the straight right hand, if you're stopping your opponent, that helps to keep the distance. But when he's walking straight through it, it's going to be hard. And you can't fight moving backwards. It's going to be even harder. As far as for Figueroa, he's an exciting fighter, but his ceiling is not high. He's hard to miss. So if you're a good puncher with decent accuracy, it's going to be hard missing him. He's a good puncher, but I don't think he's a devastating puncher. He's more of a worker in the vein of a Jorge Arce. But Arce has far more power proportionately, but he throws the whirlwind of punches. But Figueroa's not really finishing as many guys as you would expect with the type of style that he has, and he eats a lot of shots. When he gets in the ring with a skilled 140-pounder, I think it could be a bad deal for him. I don't, seeing him in there with Adrian Broner or maybe Amir Khan or someone like that, it may not work out for him. So, but he won the fight today officially, and I don't have, like I said, don't have a major problem with the fact that he won. I just didn't think that the scorecards were indicative of what we saw in the ring. The fight took place like 24 miles away from Figueroa's hometown of West Laco, Texas, and Hidalgo, Texas. So every time he blew at Ricky Burns, the crowd went nuts. So, it is what it is. And like I said, the referee was putrid. So that was it. I mean, the judging for that particular fight kind of messed up what could have been, you could have said, as far as from an action standpoint, was the best PBC broadcast to date. And I've actually liked PBC. I'm a fan of PBC. I love the fact that they're bringing fights to broadcast television. And you're not going to get a great fight all the time. I was actually at the event in Chicago for the Darrell Badu Jack and Danny Jacobs and Caleb Truax event, and those fights were good too. But this one today, these fights were probably a little bit better, but the referee job from Lawrence Cole and the judges in the main event was kind of shaky. But all in all, still a decent addition to the overall fight catalog there. So it was cool. But that's it for this recap of PBC on CBS on Saturday, May 9th. I appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Peace.